Nothing like a great shower after a long week on the road. I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2 so much, I've forgotten about everything. Basic hygiene, my relationships with friends, and feeding my dog. Luckily, my real-life responsibilities have remained the only thing affected by Red Dead Redemption 2. I usually get pretty obsessive about things, and I'm glad the Wild West aesthetic of Red Dead Redemption 2 hasn't seeped its way into my life or anything. I mean, could you imagine it? Me running around as a cowboy? It's so weird to think about. Yeah, that's not happening anytime soon. Don't worry about that. And besides, I've just gotten a little bit more in tune with my cowboy self, you know? I don't see anything wrong with that, except for the exorbitant amount of money I paid for the cowboy supplies. No. Sparky, you stay away. You stay away. You will not eat your master. You will not eat your master! Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a review to make. Welcome to the first episode of a new series I'd like to call Dalton Recommends. I wanted to make a more kind of serious review style format for things that I was enjoying, because I've been enjoying quite a few things lately. Books, movies, video games, and I felt like this was a good place to just kind of put my opinion out there and to maybe get attention to these things that I really enjoy, so that other people can enjoy them too, so that you guys can enjoy them. And I put lots of work into writing a script out for this one, and for getting all the footage for the game, and I just wanted to make this video to let you all know about a little game called Red Dead Redemption 2, and I hope you enjoy it. The impact of Rockstar's games on the framework of modern gaming is undeniable. Open world games simply wouldn't be the same without the company setting the bar so high. I love their style of creating a living, polished world and giving players total freedom to live out their own stories. From the high-octane playgrounds of Grand Theft Auto to the satirical and endearing writing of Bully, the Rockstar games I played have always been huge time sinks for me. However, Red Dead Redemption is a game I never played, and it never really interested me. My friend who had a PS3 owned Red Dead, but that same friend also had Grand Theft Auto, and it's probably pretty obvious what little impressionable Dalton was going to choose when he was at his friend's house. That's right, of course I'm performing heinous crimes with machine guns and blowing myself up with rocket launchers. But I'm older now, and with the release of Red Dead Redemption 2 and the glowing reviews I saw from critics and players alike, I was excited to try a slower paced, more story-oriented game from Rockstar. Not to mention their first new game since, wow, 2013. So, was Red Dead Redemption worth the wait? In my opinion, it totally was. This game is massive, both in scale and in detail, and the amount of work Rockstar put into it is evident from the start. Let's start with the graphics, since those are the first things you see when you boot up the game. Actually, artwork may be a more fitting title, because, I mean, the detail in every texture, from the fabric on Arthur's coat to the scales on an alligator's back as it basks in the sun, are just so carefully crafted to model a vivid world, and it feels like nothing was overlooked. Seriously, it seems like just as much care and artistry was put into the scratches and scars on Arthur's face as the faces of rocks you pass on a prairie. And what better way to gaze upon these details than with an amazing lighting system? Red sunsets, gray overcast skies, and blue moonlit nights. This lighting system cannot be understated, and it keeps the world lifelike and picturesque no matter where you are. In the mountains, sunlight shines off the snow and blows in flurries, and in the swamp, as the sun goes down, thick fog creeps in between the trees. Street lights seep over you and your horse while riding through Saint Denis at night. It's a technological marvel, I've been playing for hours upon hours, and I still find myself just stopping to admire the beauty of this world I'm playing in. Next, I'll talk about the gameplay, which is something I've heard mixed reviews on. In terms of movement, the game designers definitely had to make a trade-off between moving realistically and responsiveness. This can make certain aspects like walking through camp or walking around to pick up a killed animal or item a little slower than it could be, but I certainly don't feel like these controls were detrimental to my experience. Red Dead Redemption 2 is filled to the brim with detailed animations and visuals, and without the slower controls I could definitely see myself missing lots by rushing from one place to another. And something I haven't heard anyone mention yet is how well the player movement shows Arthur's character. Arthur's walk oozes personality. He's cool, calm, and experienced. And you can tell all that just from pushing the thumbstick forward. That's pretty amazing. Player interaction was another highlight for me. In typical Rockstar fashion, this world has tons of things to do besides missions. You can play poker, play blackjack, start a bar fight.
Where did you folks meet? The freak show?
Hey, you keep your thoughts to yourself.
Hey, I'm just glad you found each other.
Please, just leave me alone.
Enough of your mischief.
I'm happy for you. Really, I am.
Oh, Lord.
You stay the hell out of this.
That's the last straw.
Rob houses, take a bath, pet your horse, take a deluxe bath, hunt animals, pick up other people's hats and put them on, pet dogs, pet your horse, get drunk, play that hand knife game, grow out your beard really long, climb a mountain, pet your horse, and much, much more. I love how much fun I had just exploring, looking for more activities, and talking to folks. But when talking didn't work, sometimes I had to use something more, well, convincing. Shooting definitely didn't feel as smooth as the rest of the game, especially during horse chases. And if I had to name a flaw from this game, I think it would be this. Fun gunplay in a game comes from giving the player a feeling of power and skill, but much of the skill is removed by a very sticky auto-aim. You can turn it off, but without it, I was never really able to shoot anyone. Maybe I'm just bad, but I'm convinced the problems came from the characters having realistic proportions. With such a small aiming reticle, it's hard to hover over the heads of enemies, so I kept the auto-aim on. There are pretty extensive options for the aiming to get it just how you like, and I'm sure I would have made it better for my taste if I had sat down and done it, but I didn't really want to sit in a menu when I had a wild country to explore. And besides, if the shooting was dead-on accurate every time, you wouldn't get to use Deadeye. I know it's more of a gimmick than anything, but Deadeye really does make you feel like a master gunslinger when you whip out your dual-wielded pistols and blast a group of robbers between the eyes with superhumanly accurate shots. It's a power trip, and some of the most fun I had during combat was surprising a group of enemies and gunning them all down before they even had a chance to pull out their guns. But surprisingly for a game about an outlaw on the run, I didn't find myself shooting many people at all. I'm always a softie when it comes to games with moral choices, and Arthur's extremely lovable and charming personality made it even harder to do something that might make him look like a bad person. The story leans towards Arthur's character being someone who doesn't kill or steal for the fun of it, just to help the people he cares for, so the game definitely pushes you in this honorable direction, with the honor system giving heavy discounts in shops if the player earns enough honor points by not robbing or killing innocents needlessly, or accepting missions from those asking for help. But if someone were to take a more devious route, I think it'd be just as fun, as there are different cutscenes for different honor levels that allow the story to match the way your Arthur interacts with the world. But who would want to corrupt this sweet, sweet cowboy man? This game greatly discourages being an absolute psycho. It encouraged me to act like a person with morals in a Rockstar game for once. But it doesn't prevent you from being a psycho. I mean, Arthur's pretty beefy by the end of the game, and you can fight off a police force pretty easily, so if you'd like to go on that killing spree or violent train robbery, you're free to do so. It takes planning and preparation, but it's certainly another profitable way to play the game. This freedom is something the game nailed, but how does this freedom translate to the missions? I won't risk spoiling any main missions, but most consist of performing crimes an outlaw gang would pull off. Robbing, scheming, and killing are most of the content of the main missions, and most are accompanied with cutscenes and dialogue that move the story forward. Every time you play a main mission, you'll advance the plot and learn something new about how different gang members feel about current events. I always felt I'd done something worthwhile after completing a main mission. However, they are pretty scripted, and I never felt like I was free to experiment much with how the missions played out. Don't get me wrong, they don't play themselves or anything. There's choices. You can choose to stealth into an enemy camp instead of going in guns blazing. You can send another gang member to execute an enemy, or choose what guns you want to shoot with. But I never felt like I was truly in control of many situations, almost like I was the director of a script that's already been written. During a mission, you're more or less filling out a checklist that someone gave you, albeit a fun, exciting, set-piece-filled checklist. And I think this just stood out to me because these missions coexist with a free open world where you can go anywhere you want, interact with everything, and you can come across strangers who can give you one of my favorite aspects of this game, the side missions. Side missions were when the game felt the most gamey and less like an actor in a play. It seems like Rockstar just absolutely shines with the content the player chooses to do. These missions usually offer a bit more experimentation and are usually taken a little less seriously than the main story missions. You can assist a mad scientist, beat up handicaps, or run after some annoying kids for some nuns. Most offer some gameplay variety and add a lot of depth to Arthur as a character, as well as the characters around him. These missions also allow lots of exploration into places you may not otherwise visit during your playthrough of the main story. And there are just so many. I went out of my way to visit almost every marked side mission between main missions, but I know I definitely missed a lot. I think the reason I missed so many was because I wanted to see how the story ended. The story itself is just another reason you want to play these missions. Let me tell you, I haven't felt so connected to a story and its characters in any media for a while, and I strongly encourage anyone who is even on the fence about getting the game to play it for the story alone. It's really that good. You play as Arthur, a member of the Van der Linde gang and one of Dutch Van der Linde's closest confidants. After a heist in Blackwater goes horribly wrong, the gang is forced to move from place to place as they try to stay one step ahead of the law and get enough money to move somewhere and start new lives. And it's so well done in my opinion. Really, there were parts in this story that actually gave me chills, and that's something some movies can't even do. This gang has 23 gang members, and by the end you'll know each and every one of them pretty intimately. The story is filled with amazing voice acting, and characters have believable arcs that develop from events around them. Nothing ever felt forced or out of character. Each character in the story has their own motivations and morals that make them feel real when faced with danger, keeping the story feeling natural and cementing them into your mind. But one character was definitely a highlight for me.
You so heckin' beauty when you smile. Hit it from the back end, drive you wild. Yeah, yeah.
If I haven't emphasized it enough, I love Arthur. His interactions with the members of the gang, citizens in town, gambling partners, wild animal tamers, I just could not get enough of them. Every line he says just feels so real.
Call.
Well, he needs silencing.
I'll do my best. As long as she witnesses that I'm doing this under duress.
Don't kid yourself. You had a choice.
You speak as if killing was something I cared about.
You ever wonder about eternity? You should.
I hope it's hot and terrible, Mrs. Downs. Otherwise, I'll feel I've been sold a false bill of goods. Now, please, give me that money.
Part of the reason I want to start the game again is simply to find all the side missions I missed so I can watch how Arthur deals with each unique situation. In fact, I think the only other character I bonded with as much as Arthur was my horse. I mean, these animals act like living, breathing creatures that can be spooked or irritated. As you bond with your horse, they become easier to maneuver and call, rewarding those that treat their horses kindly and spend lots of time with them. These personality traits, mixed with extensive interaction options, let you really feel a connection with your horse. I couldn't bear to sell any of my horses, even when new, more expensive ones appeared in the stable because I felt like I'd be losing an ally. And I think bonding is the key word here. I mean, bonding with this world is just so easy to do in Red Dead Redemption 2. Amazing visuals, characters, and side activities just bring this place to life and make you feel like a traveler lost in a time long past. If I wasn't concerned about spoiling anything, this video would be at least an hour of me gushing about everything I love in this game. And if anything in here has at least piqued your interest, I highly encourage you to check it out. I promise I wouldn't go through the trouble of writing a script and filming a video if I didn't think this game is absolutely phenomenal and worth your time. And if any part of this video has made you even think about going and getting Red Dead Redemption and playing it right now, I highly encourage you to do so. It's an unforgettable experience. Uh-oh. Sorry, I gotta go. Who's out there? There he is up in the trees. See him out there?
Fella outside told me I could grab something.
You so lacking beauty when you smile. Hit it from the back end, drive you wild.